Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today's June 2nd, 2017, and well, we're heading into what is going to be the second half of the year here rather rapidly. Technically, I suppose the second half of the year doesn't really start till the end of this month, but June will fly by quicker than we all expect, and the next thing you know, it'll be Christmas. So we have a little bit of a show today. It is, that time of the month where we're just covering basically the stuff that came out at the very end of May, some new information for the beginning of June. As if you're new to this channel, and you sort of caught us in that little weird period where we weren't doing the videos on a consistent weekly basis, these videos that we do every week tend to be kind of slow and short at the very beginning of the month because there isn't any new kits coming out. There is no real kit announcements to be made, so you're just sort of picking up stuff here and there. Basically, this company did a test shot of this resin is going to be that, blah, blah, blah. So we have one addition to the release list for the month of June for round 2. And if you are a friend of round 2 on Facebook, or you like their page, whatever you want to consider that to be, then you probably have seen them advertising this quite heavily. And that is the reissue of the Lindbergh. It'll be marketed as a Lindbergh kit, 1/16th scale Serpent show rod. This apparently was last reissued back in 1970, so 47 years since it's been seen last. And basically, it's very much a sort of snake cobra themed street rod. I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be in terms of its base, if it's a Ford or something else. I really haven't paid attention to what the engine is or anything else like that. Just that it's a large scale, so if you're into 1/16 scale stuff, it'll fit in with like the Dukes of Hazzard Charger and things like that. And that it has new decals. Apparently, 1970, the decals weren't very robust, so they're doing a, completely new decal set for it. And again, that should be out this month. So there's that, if that kind of thing floats your boat. On the tease side of things, and here's an example of test shots. Belkits released these photos that are test shots of their upcoming Opel Manta 400 Group B rally car. They are sort of what they call fantasy decals because they are, just Belkits logos and stuff like that thrown onto them. It is showing a left-hand drive car, night racing version in these pictures, with one set of the wheels included. I believe there are going to be like 2 sets or possibly 3 sets of wheels. It will come with a actual grill so that you don't have to use the center light pods. It'll also come with photo etch. It'll also come with right-hand drive. So it's coming along. They said they have a few things that they saw when building it up that they need to go back and fix. So that'll be the next thing. There are going to be, like I said, 2 kits of this released. One will be the older round dual headlights, which is what these pictures are showing, and then the other one will be the newer style, which is only like a year or 2 newer, with the single composite headlight. The posting of those pictures online unfortunately created somewhat of a fracas on their Facebook page because a bunch of dumb Americans, and yeah, that's what they were, because remember, Belkits is from Belgium, and this is a rally car from Germany. It's an Opel, right? GM, but still Germany, that ran in mostly European rallies. So it's aimed at a European primarily market. I will pick one of probably each up just for the simple fact that I am now in this, like I told you guys before, this Group B rally collecting mode, because they're going to have pretty much all of the Group B rally cars kitted here for too much longer, with the exception of like the Ford RS200 and the little Metro, the little itty bitty, I think it's a Rover that came out of the UK. The little, it's not a Geo Metro, I believe it's a Rover Metro. But I believe those are the only 2 Group B rally cars that won't be kitted by the time 2017 is done. And I would not surprise me at all if they would be done at some point in the future, just based on the fact that vintage rally is very hot right now, and there's so many other Group B kits being done. That being said, there was a large wailing and gnashing of teeth that once again this kit doesn't come with an engine, which is sort of one of those deals where no, it doesn't. Do I wish it had one? It's one of those things where, you know what, I really don't care. The engine in this thing was like a 2.3 liter 4 that Cosworth did. It would be kind of cool to see, I guess, but it's not like it's some major milestone significant, engine. It was something that they actually pulled out of the parts bin for rally racing. It wasn't necessarily even the engine that this car came with in street trim. And it just makes you look ignorant to the rest of the world when you tell a company who is making a highly desired racing kit that their kit is a waste of time because it doesn't come with an engine. Scratch build one then, or wait until somebody in the aftermarket does one. I mean, they've done aftermarket engine bay and aftermarket engines for the Mark I Escort, and maybe they'll do one for this. Who knows? The suggestion that they take out all the junk, meaning the night racing parts, the photo etch, and the right-hand drive stuff, is also incredibly ignorant sounding because, remember, it's a European rally car being marketed to Europeans. That means that this car raced in right-hand drive format in some cases, famously in some cases, as well as the fact that, the rallies over there have night stages. If you don't like the subject matter, move along to the next thing that you do like. Don't, I really don't care if you harass belt kits or not because I have no real, connection to them in the sense of, beyond talking on Facebook, posting things on their wall and stuff like that. It's just, I don't have any connection to belt kits that is, anything more than anybody else would have. But it just makes you looking wildly ignorant online when you just start telling people how to run their company. Not a single Belkits kit has come with an engine, and this is going to be like kit 9 and 10. The kits are like close to $50 a piece as it is because they do pack so many extra features into them, and you have to consider the cost of what it, of tooling versus what they can charge for it. I think a lot of people are under this delusion that, the tooling is a fixed fee and it costs X to tool a model kit. And it's not that. It's the fact that the figure you see quoted around a lot is that it costs about $250,000 for a model kit tool. That is around, or an average. Basically, what you're looking at, more or less, is somewhere between like $1,000 and $2,000 per cavity. And per cavity means per part. So if a kit has 110 parts, it has 110 cavities, which is right where you get that $110,000 to $225,000 price for your tooling. Also, the $250,000 price probably also includes the actual steel itself, the machining, and all the finishing it up, so you have a final tool thing that you are presenting to be run through an injection molding machine. It's not going to just be like, we're going to charge you this much to design it and then you're on your own kind of thing. So, okay, so you put an engine in this and you're talking about at least one more parts runner full of parts for an engine, somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, $20,000 to $30,000 more when you figure everything into it. Okay, now on a per unit cost, what's that raise the price of this to? $55? $60? Depending, because, if you put an engine in, now you got to put, you've got to make the chassis have inner fender wells with detailed strut towers. You have to include things like radiator, an actual radiator rather than just being sort of a fill-in part that shows the radiator through the grill. You would have to include, engine hoses and all that sort of things. You're jacking the price up $5-10, and when you're already at something that, like I said, is $50, $5-10 is probably really going to differentiate the difference between that selling and not selling in mass quantity, because a lot of us, I mean myself included, are like $50. Okay, I'll buy it. That's really kind of getting up there for something. You really have to like the subject matter, basically, and they're doing fairly limited runs of these things, probably about 3,000 per boxing, I would guess, maybe a little bit more, maybe 5,000. just because of where the price point is. Because you're again aiming at a very narrow niche market, and guess what? They're on their 9th and 10th kit, not or actually this may be technically 8 and 9, and I believe 10 and 11 are the Volkswagen Golfs that are coming out for 2015, 2016 updates. But beyond the order, you're still at close to a dozen model kits out of this company in the course of about 6 years. Obviously, they're doing something right in their planning and budgetary, concerns, that they can continue to make things and be profitable doing it. Which, in the current day and age, the hobby's not dying, but it's certainly not this. This type of model kit's not something you would have found in a drugstore back in the day either. So, you just have to sort of pull your britches on, so to speak, and realize that you're dealing with an international community a lot of times. And frankly, for whatever reason, be it political or not, or social or not, Europeans already kind of look at Americans a little weird. And when Americans act the way they think they're going to act, which is rude, guys, chill out. I understand a lot of people think that the hobby only exists within the 48 contiguous states, and we occasionally send things to Canada to shut them up. But there's a global market out there, and it's what keeps the hobby alive. Because frankly, Revell is only doing so many kits a year. Round 2 is only reissuing things. Mobius only does a couple of kits a year. The main market where is Asia and Europe. Yeah, don't tell them how to run their businesses. It makes you look weird. So, that speech being done, let's take a look at what has been released this week. And it is, of course, all Asian kits. Well, I should lie about that. There is one American kit. We got the final end of May thing here. So you have the reissue of the AMT Datsun 280ZX Turbo. You get the big old molded in the USA sticker on this thing because the tooling, obviously, for this was never sent to China. Actually, the RX-7, the one that Revell just did last month, also made in the USA because obviously that tooling wasn't sent to Europe or to China either. Probably figuring that neither one of these kits will be run again real soon, which is kind of a weird thing about the RX-7 because it hasn't been run since the early 1980s. It's just been sitting around some warehouse someplace slowly. Well, it wasn't rusting because they could run it again, but slowly just collecting cobwebs. The Datsun 280ZX was reissued, back in the early 1990s in an AMT Ertl box, and I want to say it was released again, although I can't find box art for it, so I think this is something I remember, but I'm not positively sure. It was released again in the early 2000s, or late 1990s, I should say, when everything had a real car on the box. That whole era when AMT and Revell Monogram both ran everything with real cars on the front covers of the box art. But good to have this one back. It is a kit that I did not buy. It's come out pretty much every time that I was not modeling. Like the time it came out, AMT Ertl was a little bit before my time in the sense of buying full detail glue kits. Also, not really particularly interested in 280ZXs when I was like 11, 12 years old. My idea of an import car when I was a kid was like a Lamborghini Countach or Ferrari Testarossa. It's those things. And then when it came out in the real car box in the late 1990s, I started my career as a truck driver, and I wasn't building at that point. So for me, I'm happy to have it back. You guys may be like, oh God, a reissue of that. I have 10 of them, but I don't. So yay me. And then we go overseas to the fine folks over in Japan. This update is going to be pretty much all Aoshima. There is one Hasegawa reissue. This is actually a June kit that has come out already, and that is this reissue of the Volkswagen Type 2 delivery van with the Moon tie-in, the Moon logos. It is molded in white, so to make this box art model of this cream over gray, you are going to have to paint the two-tone entirely because it's not even molded in one of those two colors. But it is pretty much what you see there. The Hasegawa Tip 2, if you're sort of like, ooh, Moon, hot rod, I'm interested in that, beware it's curbside. It does not have an engine the way the Revell of Germany Tip 2 van does. But it's a pretty nice kit otherwise. It is a one-piece body rather than being a multi-piece affair like the Revell of Germany kit is. So it's sort of a trade-off. You do have a bottom of an engine and the exhaust and things like that, so there is that detail, and it's pretty good detail for that. I have the pickup truck version of this. So it's a reasonably good facsimile of the bottom of the engine to this vehicle. But no, it's not a full one, and it really wouldn't matter anyway. I don't think. I mean, even the Revell of Germany, I have the Samba bus version, not the cargo van, and it's a full engine, but it goes completely away and has just a little porthole into the back. Well, you guys know what a Volkswagen van looks like in an engine wise, so it's like so many things. Oh, it has a head engine, and then you don't see it anymore. This is like the current Acura NSX from Tamiya. Whole bunch of detail packed into an area that you will never see again once it's built. The Lexus LFA was somewhat like that in the sense of how the uh, substructure of the kit build. You see the engine, obviously, because the hood opens on the LFA, but the whole suspension and center monocoque type deal all goes away because it's all covered by diffusers and plastic panels and things like that, which is really a shame because you're hiding quite a bit of really well engineered detail with that. But anyway, so that's the Hasegawa thing. Over at Aoshima, these are all end of May catch-ups, as it were, reissues of 3 different pre-painted kits, and they are the GRS 214 Crown Athlete. This will be a 2013, molded in, or I should say not molded, but painted in black. Remember, all the pre-paint kits Aoshima does are pre-painted 100% of the way around, so your chassis and everything is all already done for you. Just got to assemble it and deal with the sprue attachment points, and of course you're going to have mold lines buried in your paint, so know that going in as well. Reissue of the Nissan GTR. This would be the 2014 version in a gray metallic, and then a reissue of the 2012 Subaru BRZ S grade in the World Rally Blue, or I believe they're just calling it Blue Mica. This one, like the box art shows, does come with the left-hand drive parts if you were so inclined to build a North American version. A couple of reissues into the model car line. These are both value added, as it were. First up is the Nissan Cedric / Gloria 200e Standard. These were 2 separate kits at one point. Technically speaking, the Cedric kit that came out by itself was a 400 GLE, which is sort of the up trim version. The Gloria was this 200e version. There was a 200e Cedric that was released as a taxi and a police car. So this doesn't come with the up trim grille for the Cedric. It doesn't come up with the up trim wheels for the Cedric. You are building a very, very basic economy car, with the dog dish hubcaps and the steel wheels you see on the box art. And there are, like separate parts for the Gloria and the Cedric. There's different grills and different taillight panels. Also, several different interior pieces differentiate between the two. I believe the Cedric is a automatic and the Gloria is a standard. It is a sort of a 3-on-a-tree kind of standard. It's not an actual floor stick shift. But that's been reissued. The other kit that's reissued, that's a combination of a few things they've done before, is the Toyota E70 Corolla GT DX from 1979. Here, your differences are like mirrors, grills, wheels. They have released the GT and the DX separately in the past as far as being 2 separate kits. This is all based on an early 1980s tooling. So this is sort of like best car vintage-ish chassis and things like that. And you do have to do a little bit of body work to sand off the scripts from the old Toyota Corolla kit that do not match these 2 trim levels, as well as you have to make an adjustment to sort of like the bottom leading edge of the hood to make these new grills fit into it. You do get actually 3 sets of wheels with this. There's 1 set of wheels for, I believe it was I can't remember what the third one of these kits was as far as the trim level was, but those wheels are included, as well as the steel wheels for the DX and the sort of upgraded hubcaps, if you will, for the GT. But you get, it's one or the other. This isn't a 2-body thing like the Chaser and the Tourer were. So you pick one or the other. The Cedric Gloria is sort of based in the 1980s. However, this kit, when it was tooled up in 2012, had a new chassis pan and things like that created for it, so it is more up to date. Still very, very basic. The car itself is very, very basic. In terms of the suspension and things like that. It's an early 1980s Japanese car. So there's not a whole heck of a lot to look at to begin with underneath of it, but it is not a wire axle battery box affair like some of the other Cedric and Glorias from that time period are. One reissue from the model or the tuned model car lineup, and that is this I think I want to say it's a 2003. Let me take a peek at the page here. What are we saying this is? It is a 1999. All right, it's earlier than I thought. 1999 Toyota HiAce. This has the ASMAX van VIP tuner package added to it. So it is a a standard HiAce and has all of these ground effects and the new bumper and a roof, sort of a roof spoiler, and as well as obviously those wheels attached to it. It's just a straight reissue of an existing kit. There's no real value added to it per se because you can't build it as a stock HiAce or anything like that. But it is a kit that has not been out in a couple, 3 years, I want to say. Unlike some of these, where they're reissuing things that have just come out, this is a reissue of something that hasn't been around for a little bit anyway, so makes it a little more desirable, if you want to say. Maybe not the right word, but it's not something that just got reissued and then they decided to rebox it into this new series. And then the last kit for the month of May, almost legitimately, is this. This is the slightly tweaked 2015 Toyota Crown Athlete. The matching kit, of course, to the updated Toyota Crown Royal Saloon that they did earlier last year, right before Christmas. You get a new front fascia, which includes new grille, new bumper, new headlight covers. The fog light areas are new as well. It's about 15 parts or so that are new in this kit. Again, it's just basically refreshing the body style to the current body style, the way the car currently looks. Also, just came out, and this will be the first in a series of detail up parts. I believe they're going to repackage a bunch of the stuff and reissue it, because I know that like the Toyota Century, the big luxury Toyota that the government of Japan uses, they're going to have a photo etch set for that coming out. And that photo etch set, I don't know if one of those even existed prior to this, and if it did, it hasn't been around for a really, really long time. They've done a Crown Athlete detail upset for the 2012 version. But this one is, I believe, different, or at least it has more stuff in it, because that one did not have floor mats in it like this one does. Did not come with seatbelt material, I don't believe. I think it was just the photo etch fret itself. And I believe, like I said, this photo etch fret is a little more in detail, more detailed. This is a generic, if you will, a photo etch set, as you can build either the Crown Athlete or the Crown Royal Saloon off of it. It includes the scripts and stuff for both. But they've obviously got the Crown Athlete, stuck on the front cover there. But if you look, it just says 21 pound sign. That means you can build either the Athlete or the Crown Royal out of it, because technically those two have a different third digit to them. The Crown Royal Saloon is a 212, I think, and it's 214 for the Crown Athlete. And now you know a bunch of numbers that you didn't really ever need to know in your life, but you're informed, I guess. And guys, that about covers it. The one other kit from May that did not come out, that was scheduled to come out as far as a planned issue, is the 1970 Nissan Skyline 2000 GT, what a lot of people call a four-door GTR, even though the four-door Skylines are not GTRs. But it's that early body style that everybody seems to think it's a GTR, regardless of whether or not it's actually one or not. That has been pushed back to July for some reason, which is kind of odd, because the box art for it is out already on the corporate website. It's kind of weird that it got pushed back, but it did. The other thing that got pushed back a while is and I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, so I'm going to mention it again, is the Liberty Walk version of the R35 GTR, the one they just announced back at Shizuoka. Was supposed to come out in July or August. It's been pushed back to September. Basically, there were a few things in the test shot they didn't like, and so it's going to go back for a little bit of modification. And beyond that, guys, pretty much everything that came out in May that was supposed to did. So we're on to the month of June. Before we check out, the Studio 27 decals for the month of June have been announced, the first half of the month of June, and they are going to be a carbon fiber set, and it's more of a carbon fiber wrap, if you will, for the Hasegawa Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5. It's kind of a hard kit to get your hands on right now. The only one on eBay is like $50, which may be because it's the only one on eBay, but rather than it being a valid price. But that's a kit that hasn't not been around for a little while. It also says World Rally Championship, meaning that like it's the race car kit, but that hasn't been around for a while either. Unless this is one of those reissues where it's like they know something that we don't know in terms of Hasegawa's plans to reissue stuff into the middle of summer. Because I can tell you what Hasegawa's going to reissue through July, and there ain't no Evo 5 on that list. So it's kind of an interesting choice. And then there are going to be two more newly done decal sets for the Porsche 962. One is a FA Turbo, one for a World Sports Car Prototype Championship series from Donington, and the other is another version of the Omron sponsorship for the Japanese Sports Car Prototype Championship, which is, I believe, 1 year later than the Omron livery that actually came out of Hasegawa as a kit reissue. So, if you really wanted to be all up on your prototype race cars, there's another couple things. They're also going to be reissuing pretty much all of the Path 962C liveries that they have done over the last 6 months. So if you missed something, you have a chance to grab it again. The other carbon fiber I'll mention, because I'm not sure how popular the kit really is on people who view this, but information is information, is they are going to be doing a carbon fiber detail set for the McLaren MP431 Ebro F1 car. Is for the late season, the early season, or mid-season, or whatever the first version of that kit was. Already came out a while ago. Of course, you remember that you'll recall if you watched the video from, I think it was 3 weeks ago, when we sort of caught up from everything. The that late season car with the changed wing and spoilers and stuff like that came out, and so this is going to be the carbon fiber to support that. Should be on the lookout pretty soon after that for the associate sponsorship stuff that's going to come out for all of the liquor liveries that car runs on various races, because obviously that stuff that Ebro's not going to do, and you'll have to go through Taboo or Shunko to get that stuff. And I guess, guys, that is it. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the